What's up, guys? It's Hyperion Hype Sounds. Real quick, go check out my music YouTube and my SoundCloud, where you can check out my sounds and these mix tips in the mix at Action. And you can check out the link in the description below for some downloads. So today I wanted to show you guys this gate kick clicker I made. So this is a really cool rack that I've been developing for, it's pretty easy, so we can whip this out pretty quick. But basically what you do is you have this parallel effects chain right here where you have two gates, so it's some parallel gating. And so one gate you have no click, and one gate you have very low attack and very low release. So it creates, it pretty much isolates this click sound in the kick. And I really like it. It's a good way to affect the dynamics of your kick, give it a little more emphasis on the high end. I like to liken it to, instead of the big boomy bass tone of the kick, it's this really high, crisp, almost the high frequency sounds of the actual thing hitting the drum head. So it's really useful for getting your kick to stand out in the mix without overloading the volume too much. So let me just show you it with and without this kick effect real quick. So let's solo the kick. So that was with the effect on. This is just the click. Whoops. And this is without it. So all together, here, let's check it out in the mix. So you can see it kind of helps the kick like peek through the mix a little bit more. I think it helps engage the side chain just a little bit more, gives it a little more frequency response, although compressors are a little more sensitive to bass notes because the period of the low frequency spend more time over the threshold. Without getting it into too much, let's go ahead and make this thing real quick. So first I'm going to turn this one off. I have a ton of effects chains on my kick here, but that's a little too much to go into right now. But what you want to do is you want to grab a gate and drop your gate onto the track. And so what we'll then do is we'll right click and then we group it. And then so you can see the chains here. And so we'll grab the chain, right click and duplicate. So now we have two chains, so the kick is coming through these two channels in parallel. So we can rename these to no click and click. And so the click one, we're just going to do some really, really aggressive gating. And so it's gonna make this click, the faster the threshold opens up and closes, you get this really weird click sound when you don't have the dynamics rising up kind of steadily. It's just kind of really abrupt. You get this little bit of distortion, but it's something we kind of like. So we're gonna call this one no click. And for the sake of simplicity, I won't really mess with these macros right now. You can find this in my my Ableton racks, my Hype Ableton racks pack. It's a really great pack. It's got a ton of Ableton racks that'll instantly improve your mix. Definitely check it out in the link below, guys. But so you can dial these into your settings, to your preferences. So basically with your no click one, we're going to, this return is basically where it starts to release from. And so the threshold is really what matters. So I'll basically turn the return to 0 for sake of simplicity. And so with our click track, we want like no attack and pretty much no release and no hold. So basically it's just gonna open up and close really fast as soon as the kick breaks the threshold. And so we want the threshold a little higher. And then for our no click one, we just kind of want to have some general good gating on the kick drum rather. So you can see here, just by modulating the attack, it's basically how soft the kick hits. So with a little lower attack, it's nice and smooth. It's nice and smooth. It's got some nice dynamics. It punches, but it doesn't really click. It doesn't punch really hard. It's not super noticeable. It doesn't have the high frequency content to cut through the mix. And watch as I modulate the attack here. Now that shit really punches, okay? When you have no attack, it opens up immediately. The gate opens right up. It lets the whole kick come through. You get the transients. So that's basically what we want here. We want to modulate the dynamic range of our kick drum. We want to make sure we're getting the transients through. We're going to maintain the tonality of the kick, those low frequency bass notes, the ones that really move you when you're in the club, especially dance music here. This is a very dance thing I'm working on right now. So we really just want it to cut through the mix without overloading the kick drum in the mix too much, overloading the bass. The secret to a good mix is having some really good mid-range content and thinking of the high end and the low end as an extension of the mid-range. So basically, let's kind of tinker around, see what that sounds like together. So I like this no click as pretty much the just the kick drum coming through without having this weird distortion thing. And so what we can do then is we can mix in this click track to our liking. See, when you can see when I have it up too high, it's only catching the very tip of the kick there. So that's only opening it up very quick and very fast. So we get a little bit of distortion. It's a little weird, kind of those crunchy artifacts there. I don't really like those so much. It's a creative decision whether or not you want to keep those in or not. I think a lot of people would agree. They kind of sound kind of crappy. So I opted in favor of having the threshold just a little bit lower, catch a little bit more of the kick. And so what we want to do now is, now that we have isolated our click sound and our no click sound, we want to modulate our gain parameter. So we want to make sure that we can modulate how much of the click signal we can mix back in with the original kick. And so instead of just boosting the level of the kick, making the volume higher to have it cut through the mix more, we're actually introducing a little bit more of the high end, transient dynamic. So what we'll do here is click on this macro button, and then we'll click map, and then click right here, and then we'll click here. And so what that does is it maps this value to this chain right here, and so we can turn it up and it'll affect the value. So we'll rename this as click gain, and we'll do similarly to the no click. And this one we pretty much want at 0. That's something you can mix back and forth, but for, I won't really mess with this one a whole lot, and I'll just rename this one Click Kicka. And like I said before, man, check out my Ableton racks. There's just a ton of good racks: Haas effects, stereo image, mastering effects, chain, just all the above, guys. It's a great pack. But we also want to modulate the threshold, so basically where the click comes in. So we'll go click on our click rack, and we'll map the threshold to here. And to get back to those values, we want negative 22 decibels. And yeah, so that's about it. You can really modulate your attack, your hold, your release, everything else. I've got quite a few of them here. It's not something you're really going to be imperative to macro. It's not too much harder to go in here and dial it in a little bit. This is just a pretty much good jumping off point. But this is something that's really spiced up my kick drums in the past couple days. I just picked it up, and check out my sounds in the link below. Check out my other YouTube videos, and I hope you guys learned something. Hype Sounds out.